We're following some breaking news overnight. A serious crash near train tracks has authorities shutting down the railroad there. It happened at County Road 1100 and Highway 84 past Shallow Water just before 3 in the morning. Our photographer on the scene of the crash reports seeing at least 3 cars involved, one up on the embankment leading to those railroad tracks. DPS has not been able to confirm if there were any injuries, but our photographer does say it looks serious. According to some initial reports, first responders needed the jaws of life to get someone out of a car. We'll continue to update this story as we learn more details this morning. A robbery overnight in a home ends in a shooting. Officers were called to the 3800 block of 49th Street around 2:30 this morning when Lubbock police say someone broke into a home and tried to rob someone inside. Shots were fired and someone was seriously injured, but police say no one has been arrested. And a car rushing an injured passenger to the hospital wrecks overnight. Police responded after 2 cars crashed around 1:45 this morning at 34th and University. You see one car nearly rolling over there. The driver of one of the cars says his cousin was actually stabbed earlier in the night at the bar El Patron, so he was driving him to the hospital. Officers say the man's injuries from that assault were serious, but nobody was hurt in the wreck. And 2 people remain in jail this morning after a shooting at a Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant Thursday afternoon. Police arrested 21-year-olds Angel Flores and Billy Pena for aggravated assault. Police tell us they went inside the restaurant and started arguing with some employees before taking that argument outside. That's when one of the suspects grabbed a gun from their car and opened fire. They drove off, but police chased them and they were arrested near 80th and Frankfurt. Nobody was shot, but one person was hurt by the shattered glass. Customers inside that restaurant say they barely had time to react at all.
She was at the counter talking to them, and then she's started making her way out the door, and like I said, used a few obscenities and then kept going.
The girl was coming through the door, the window was going down, and somebody just had a hatred towards somebody, and man, they overdid it.
Both Flores and Pena are in the Lubbock County Jail this morning. Well, a Lubbock County jury has found a man guilty of assaulting a police officer. Angel Hernandez was pulled over for riding a bicycle without a light last March. When the officer ran his driver's license, it showed he had 2 outstanding warrants. Hernandez's lawyers argued the officer used excessive force during the arrest, but the prosecutors tell the jury Hernandez wasn't listening to the officer's commands and even bit the officer. Hernandez will be sentenced at a later date. Well, new information in the Rager Dykes case. Representatives of McDougal companies will travel to Michigan to meet with Ford Motor Credit and discuss a settlement. Mark McDougal is working with the Ewing Auto Group out of Dallas on a plan to salvage the Rager Dykes dealerships. The 2 companies have met with Rager Dykes' restructuring officer and stakeholders over the last few months, and McDougal says they have a plan that includes jobs, plus working with consumers and creditors. Well, dozens of volunteers fanned out across the city Thursday morning to count the number of homeless people living out on the streets. Armed with a smartphone, volunteers asked people several questions, everything from how long they've been living there on the streets to any medical needs that aren't being met. The study is to give the Homeless Consortium a look at the real needs of the homeless community here, and depending on how many people they speak with, the more federal funding they get to help.
We use these numbers to specifically inform our goals. So if our goal is to end homelessness or end chronic homelessness by 2020 or 2022, we need to know what the numbers are. How do we know we've reached our goal if we don't know how many there are to start with?
The responses are already on their way down to Austin, where officials will break those numbers down and give the results in the late spring. Well, still to come here on Good Morning Lubbock. Spring football scrimmage dates have been announced. We'll have all the details coming up. First, though, let's get over to Alex for a check on our forecast.
One more day of school before the weekend, and heading to the bus stop this morning. Expect a chilly start, and we'll